Is it mine?
No, leave, Jae-won. Please just leave.
Don't lie to me. 7 months? That lines up perfectly with—
It's not yours!
The baby, she's coming.
Hold on, baby. I've got you. You're safe now.
It's too early, she's not ready.
She's strong. Tell me the truth. Is that my child?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me? Why?
Because I knew you'd do this. You take over everything.
Before we dive into this intense story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like icon. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Are you team stay together or team run away? Let's get into it. The bar's flickering neon sign cast shadows across Jae-won's face as he stepped out of his black Mercedes. His tailored suit, worth more than most people's monthly salary, seemed almost obscene in this run-down district of Seoul. 2 of his men flanked him, their expressions blank and professional. This was routine. Collect protection. Money. Remind the owners who really controlled these streets, and leave. Jae-won had done this 1,000 times. Tonight should have been no different. Wait here, he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of authority that came from years of making people obey without question. His men nodded, taking their positions by the entrance as Jae-won pushed open the weathered door. The bar was nearly empty. A few salarymen nursed their soju in dark corners, trying to forget their failures. The air smelled of cigarette smoke and desperation. Jae-won's eyes swept the room with practiced efficiency, cataloging exits, potential threats, anything unusual. Then his gaze landed on the bar, and the world stopped. Diana. She stood behind the counter, her back to him, reaching for a bottle on the top shelf. Even from behind, he recognized the curve of her neck, the way she moved. Then she turned, and Jae-won's breath caught in his throat. 7 months pregnant. Heavily, unmistakably pregnant. The glass she was holding slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor with a sound that seemed to echo in the sudden silence between them. Her face went white. Those eyes, the same eyes that had once looked at him with love, with passion, with trust, now showed only fear. Jae-won, she whispered, her hand instinctively moving to her swollen belly. Before you find out what happens next, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you think Jae-won should do. Now, let's continue. 3 years. 3 years since she'd walked out of his life, since she'd discovered what he really was. 3 years since she'd looked at him with disgust and said she could never love a monster. And now here she was, pregnant and working in a bar under his organization's protection. The irony wasn't lost on him. Everyone out, Jae-won said quietly, not taking his eyes off Diana. The salarymen scrambled to leave, recognizing danger when they heard it. The bar owner, an older man with nervous eyes, started to protest. "Sir, we haven't discussed the— out." The single word carried enough menace to send the owner scurrying to the back room. They were alone now. Diana gripped the edge of the bar, her knuckles white. Jae-won moved closer, his footsteps deliberate, predatory. He'd built an empire on reading people, on knowing their weaknesses, but looking at her now, he felt completely off balance. "Is it mine?" The question came out harsher than he intended. "No." Her voice trembled, but her chin lifted in that defiant way he remembered. "Leave, Jae-won. Please, just leave." He reached the bar, leaning against it, close enough now to see the exhaustion etched into her features, the dark circles under her eyes, close enough to smell her shampoo. She still used the same jasmine scent. The memory of burying his face in her hair, of those nights when she'd been his entire world, hit him like a physical blow. "Don't lie to me, Diana." He pulled out his phone, did the mental calculation. 7 months. That lines up perfectly with nothing. She cut him off, her voice rising. "It's not yours. My boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, he left when he found out I was pregnant. Are you satisfied? Can you go now? You're not wearing a ring. Very observant. Is that what you do now? Notice jewelry? Her sarcasm had an edge of hysteria. I can't afford a ring, Jae-won. I can barely afford food. He looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who once wore designer dresses and had everything she wanted now stood in a stained apron, serving drinks to drunks. The woman who'd slept in silk sheets now had rough, work-worn hands. Something dark and possessive twisted in his chest. How long have you been working here? That's none of your business. Everything in this district is my business? He straightened, pulling out his wallet. The bar owner had emerged from the back room, hovering nervously. You. How much does she owe you? Jae-won, don't... Diana started. 4,000,001, the owner said quickly. She borrowed it for medical bills. Jae-won counted out the bills without blinking, adding an extra 2 million. She doesn't work here anymore, and if I find out you've contacted her for any reason, we'll have a very different conversation. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Diana's face flushed with anger. I didn't ask for your help. I don't want your blood money. Too bad. He turned back to her, and the look in his eyes made her take a step back. You're done here. Tonight. Now. You can't just... You don't get to control my life anymore. Her voice cracked. I left you because I refuse to be part of your world. I won't let you drag me back into it. You think working in this place, taking money from men like him, he jerked his head toward the owner, isn't part of my world? You're already in it, Diana. You've been in it the moment you stepped into this bar. She pressed her hand to her belly again, and he saw her wince. Are you in pain? I'm fine. You're not fine. When's the last time you ate? I said I'm fine. But her voice broke, and suddenly tears were streaming down her face. Just go, Jae-won. Please, I can't do this. Not with you. Not now. He'd made grown men cry. He'd broken bones and ended lives without losing sleep. But seeing Diana cry made something in his chest constrict painfully. He moved around the bar before he could stop himself, and she flinched away from him. Don't touch me. I'm not going to hurt you, he said quietly. You already did. 3 years ago, when I found out what you really were. When I realized the man I loved was a lie. I never lied about who I was. You just never asked the right questions. Because I was stupid enough to trust you. She wiped at her tears angrily. I was so in love with you that I didn't see what was right in front of me. The late-night calls, the mysterious business trips, the way people looked at you with fear. I ignored it all because I thought... She stopped, shaking her head. It doesn't matter what I thought. Tell me. He was closer now, close enough to see the gold flecks in her brown eyes. Tell me what you thought. I thought you were different. I thought what we had was real. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I thought you might love me enough to change. The words hit him harder than any punch he'd ever taken. And when you found out the truth, I realized I couldn't change you. And I couldn't live in a world where the man I loved hurt people for a living, where every night I'd wonder if you'd come home, or if I'd get a call that you were dead, or worse, that you'd killed someone. She looked down at her belly. I couldn't bring a child into that world. So you ran, disappeared without a trace. What else could I do? You would have tried to keep me, and I was weak enough that I might have stayed. She met his eyes. I had to protect myself, and now I have to protect this baby. From me, from everything you represent. Jae-won's phone buzzed, a text from his second-in-command. "Boss wants to know why you're taking so long." He silenced it. "I need to go, but this conversation isn't over." "Yes, it is. Don't come back here, Jae-won. Don't send money. Don't send your men to check on me. Just let me go, like you should have 3 years ago." He pulled out a business card, setting it on the bar. "My number, in case you need anything." "I won't need anything from you." "Keep it anyway." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Diana, whether that baby is mine or not, you're under my protection now. Anyone who tries to hurt you will answer to me." "I don't want your protection." But he was already gone, the door closing behind him with a soft click. Diana sank onto a bar stool, her hands shaking. The bar owner appeared, clutching the money Jae-won had left. "Miss Park, I'm sorry, but you understand. I can't go against him. You should leave. Tonight." She nodded numbly, too exhausted to argue. As she gathered her few belongings, her hand brushed against the business card. She should throw it away. Should forget this ever happened. But instead, she slipped it into her pocket. Outside, Jae-won sat in the back of his Mercedes, his jaw clenched. His men knew better than to ask questions. "Where to, boss?" his driver asked. "The office. I need to make some calls." Within an hour, he knew everything. Diana Park, age 28, had been working 3 jobs to support herself. The baby's father, a marketing executive named Kim Min-ho, had indeed abandoned her when she refused to get an abortion. She'd been living in a semi-basement apartment in one of the worst parts of the city, the kind of place where mold grew on the walls and rats were regular visitors. Her medical bills were piling up because she'd been having complications, early contractions, high blood pressure. She was supposed to be on bed rest but couldn't afford to stop working. The baby was due in 2 months. Jae-won did the math again. 7 months pregnant meant she'd conceived around February. They'd had their last night together in late January. That explosive, passionate goodbye neither of them had known was goodbye. She'd left 2 weeks later. If she'd just found out she was pregnant. He pulled up her ex-boyfriend's information. Kim Min-ho. Looking at the timeline, if they'd started dating in March, she would have already been pregnant. Which meant... His hands clenched into fists. She'd lied. The baby was his. It had to be, and she was trying to keep his child from him. The rage that surged through him was primal, possessive. His child, his woman, because she would always be his, no matter how much she denied it. And she was living in squalor, working herself to exhaustion, risking her health and their baby's health because she was too stubborn and too scared to ask for his help. "Find out everything about Kim Min-ho," he told his assistant. "I want to know where he works, where he lives, who he's sleeping with, everything." "Yes, boss." "And arrange for an apartment. Gangnam, top floor, full security. I want it ready by tomorrow." His assistant, a sharp woman named Yoon-ji, raised an eyebrow. "Should I ask who it's for?" "No." She smiled slightly. In the 3 years she'd worked for Jae-won, she'd never seen him like this. Distracted. Almost agitated. "Understood, boss." The next morning, Diana woke to pounding on her door. She struggled to her feet, her back aching, and peered through the peephole. A woman in an expensive suit stood there, holding a clipboard. "Miss Park? I'm Yoon-ji, representing Mr. Kang Jae-won. May I come in?" "No, go away." "I'm afraid that's not possible. Mr. Kang has instructed me to ensure you receive proper medical care and suitable accommodations. I have a car waiting to take you to Samsung Medical Center for a full prenatal checkup." "I don't want his charity." "With respect, Miss Park, This isn't a negotiation. Mr. Kang was quite clear. You can come willingly, or he will come here himself. I suspect that would be more disruptive. Diana knew she'd lost before she'd even started fighting. When Jae-won decided something, it happened. That's who he was. Still, she couldn't just give in. Tell him I said no. Tell him to leave me alone. Yoonji's expression softened slightly. Between you and me, he won't. Whatever you are to him, whatever that baby is to him, he's not going to let this go. I've worked for Mr. Kang for 3 years. I've never seen him like this. So you have 2 choices. Let me help you on your terms, or wait for him to take over completely and lose any control you have left. Diana's hand went to her belly. The baby kicked, as if weighing in on the decision. She was so tired, so scared. The early contractions last week had terrified her. The doctor had warned her that she needed to reduce her stress, get proper rest, or she risked premature labor. Just the checkup, she finally said. Nothing else. Of course, Yoonji agreed, though they both knew it was a lie. The checkup revealed what Diana had feared. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. The baby was measuring small. The obstetrician, one of Seoul's best, looked at her with concern. Miss Park, you need immediate bed rest. No stress, proper nutrition, constant monitoring. If you continue as you are, you're at serious risk of preeclampsia or premature delivery. This baby needs more time to develop. I understand. Do you have family? Support? Diana shook her head. Her parents had disowned her when she'd gotten pregnant out of wedlock. She had no siblings, few friends. Then I'm formally recommending hospitalization until delivery. I can't afford that. It's already taken care of, Yoonji interjected smoothly. Mr. Kang has arranged for a private room and round-the-clock care. No, absolutely not. The doctor looked between them, clearly uncomfortable. Miss Park, your baby's life is at risk. Pride shouldn't... It's not about pride, Diana's voice rose. It's about not owing him anything. It's about keeping my child safe from his world. Your child won't survive if you don't accept help, the doctor said bluntly. You're at 30 weeks. If you deliver now, your baby will need intensive care. The longer we can keep the pregnancy going, the better the outcomes. But you need to rest properly. That's non-negotiable. Diana felt trapped, helpless. The 2 feelings she'd sworn she'd never feel again after leaving Jae-won. I'll think about it. You have 24 hours, the doctor said firmly. After that, I'll have no choice but to admit you regardless. They were walking out of the hospital when Diana saw him. Jae-won, leaning against his Mercedes, looking like he owned the world, which in many ways he did. He straightened when he saw her, his eyes scanning her face, cataloging her reactions. You shouldn't be here, she said. Get in the car, Diana. No. He moved closer, and despite everything, despite the fear and the anger and the years between them, her body reacted to his proximity. That pull had always been there. Magnetic, irresistible, dangerous. The doctor says you need bed rest. I have an apartment ready. Full-time nurse. Whatever you need. I need you to leave me alone. His jaw tightened. That baby you're carrying, is it mine? The direct question, asked in broad daylight with Yoonji pretending not to listen, caught her off guard. She could lie, should lie, but looking into his eyes, those dark eyes that had once known every inch of her, she couldn't. What does it matter? She whispered instead. It matters everything. He stepped even closer, his voice dropping. Tell me the truth, Diana. Is that my child? A tear slipped down her cheek. Yes. The word hung between them, changing everything. Jae-won's expression didn't change, but Diana saw his hands clench at his sides. For a long moment, he just stared at her, and she saw something flicker in those dark eyes, something raw and primal that made her breath catch. Get in the car, he repeated, his voice dangerously soft. Jae-won, now. It wasn't a request. It was a command, delivered with the kind of authority that had made him one of the most feared men in Seoul's underworld. We're going to talk, really talk, and you're going to tell me why you've been carrying my child for 7 months without telling me. Because I knew this would happen. Her voice broke. I knew you'd try to take over, control everything. I'm the father. I have every right. Rights? She laughed bitterly. You gave up your rights when you chose that life over everything else. When you chose blood and violence over... She stopped, unable to finish. Over you? He moved so close now that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. You think I chose anything? You think I had a choice? Everyone has a choice, Jae-won. Not everyone. His hand lifted, almost touching her face, then dropped. Get in the car, please. You need to rest, and we need to talk. I promise I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. It was the please that broke her resistance. Jae-won never said please, never asked, always commanded. But now, standing in front of her with their unborn child between them, he looked almost vulnerable. She nodded, too exhausted to fight anymore. Yoonji discreetly disappeared, and Jae-won helped Diana into the back seat with surprising gentleness. His hand on her elbow, supporting her weight, felt achingly familiar. The drive to Gangnam was silent. Diana stared out the window, watching the city blur past, while Jae-won sat rigidly beside her, his presence overwhelming in the confined space. She could feel the tension radiating off him, barely contained. The apartment was everything she'd expected and feared. Penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. Furniture that cost more than she'd earned in years. A nursery already set up, with a crib, changing table, and every baby item imaginable. It was perfect. It was a cage. There's a nurse on call 24/7, Jae-won said, his voice carefully neutral. The kitchen is fully stocked. Anything you need, anything at all, just ask. Yoonji will coordinate everything. Diana walked to the window, looking out at Seoul spread beneath them. This isn't what I want. What do you want? He came to stand beside her, close but not touching. Tell me, and I'll make it happen. I want to go back in time. I want to meet you when you were someone different, someone who didn't have blood on his hands. She turned to face him. But we don't get that, do we? We get this. You and me and a baby we never planned, and a life that's impossible. Nothing's impossible. This is. You know it is. What kind of life can we give our child, Jae-won? What kind of father can you be when you might not come home one night? When our daughter might grow up visiting you in prison or attending your funeral? Daughter? His voice caught. You know it's a girl. She nodded, her hand resting on her belly. I found out last month. I was going to name her Ji-woo. It means wisdom and tenderness. Everything I hope she'll be. Ji-woo, he repeated softly. Then, before she could stop him, he dropped to his knees in front of her. His hands hesitated, then gently touched her stomach. Ji-woo, my daughter. The baby kicked, as if responding to her father's voice. Jae-won's eyes widened, and when he looked up at Diana, she saw tears there. Jae-won, who never cried, who never showed weakness, had tears in his eyes. She's real, he whispered. Our daughter is real. Yes. Diana's own tears fell freely now, and she deserves better than this, better than us. She deserves everything. He stood, pulling Diana into his arms before she could protest. And I'm going to give it to her, a safe home, a future, everything. You can't promise that, not in your world. Then I'll change my world. He pulled back to look at her. I mean it, Diana, whatever it takes. You can't just leave. It doesn't work that way. No, but I can evolve, adapt. His jaw set with determination. I've been considering a transition anyway, moving into more legitimate operations. My boss has been pushing for it. Less street-level work, more high-end business, real estate development, investment portfolios. Still connected, still powerful, but cleaner. That's still the same world, just with a prettier face. It's a start. His hands cupped her face, thumbs brushing away her tears. I can't become someone different overnight, but I can become someone better. For her, for you. The intensity in his gaze made her knees weak. This was the man she'd fallen for. Passionate, determined, overwhelming. The man who made her feel like she was the center of the universe. But it was also the man who'd broken her heart when she'd learned the truth about his life. I'm scared, she admitted. I'm so scared, Jae-won. Of you, of this life, of what it means for our daughter. I know. He pressed his forehead to hers. But I'm not letting you face this alone. Not anymore. You can hate me, fight me, push me away, but I'm not going anywhere. That's my daughter you're carrying, my family, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness in his tone should have angered her, should have made her pull away. Instead, it sent heat flooding through her body, a reminder of why she'd fallen so hard for him in the first place. Jae-won didn't do anything halfway. When he loved with everything he had. When he claimed something, he held on with iron grip. This doesn't mean we're together, she said, needing to establish some boundary, even as her body betrayed her by leaning into his warmth. Doesn't it? His lips quirked in that half smile she remembered so well. You're carrying my child. You're living in my apartment. You're under my protection. Sounds like we're together to me. That's not how relationships work. Then how do they work, Diana? Because 3 years ago, we were together. We were happy. And then you left without giving me a chance to what? Change? We both know that's impossible. I would have tried. For you, I would have tried anything. His voice roughened with emotion. Do you know what it was like? Coming home to find you gone? No note, no explanation, just empty, like you'd never existed. I went crazy trying to find you. Turned this city upside down. And when I finally accepted you didn't want to be found, it nearly destroyed me. You seemed fine when I saw you last night. Cold, controlled, the perfect mob enforcer. That's what I show the world, not what I feel. He released her, turning away. You want to know the truth? I haven't been with anyone since you left. Haven't wanted anyone, because they weren't you. The confession hung in the air between them. Diana's heart hammered in her chest. Jae-won, I'm not telling you this to manipulate you. I'm telling you because you deserve to know. You were it for me, Diana. You still are. And now we have a daughter coming, and I'll be damned if I let fear keep us apart. Before she could respond, a sharp pain lanced through her abdomen. She gasped, doubling over, and Jae-won was there instantly, catching her. What's wrong? Diana, talk to me. Contraction. she managed through gritted teeth. It's okay. They've been happening on and off. That's not okay. He was already pulling out his phone. I'm calling the doctor. It's normal for this stage. Braxton Hicks. They said... Another contraction cut her off, stronger this time. Within minutes, the private doctor Jae-won had on retainer arrived. After examining Diana, his expression was grave. These aren't Braxton Hicks. This is early labor. We need to stop it or she'll deliver at 30 weeks. That's far too early. Diana felt panic clawing at her throat. But the baby... We'll be fine if we can stop the labor. I'm administering medication now. You need absolute bed rest. No stress, no excitement, nothing that could trigger more contractions. Do you understand? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Jae-won sat beside her on the bed, holding her hand with surprising gentleness. She's going to be okay, he said firmly. Our daughter is going to be okay. I promise you. You can't promise that. Watch me. The steel in his voice was absolute. Nothing is taking her from us. Nothing. The medication worked. The contractions slowed, then stopped. But the doctor's orders were clear. Complete bed rest for the remaining weeks of pregnancy. No stress. Constant monitoring. Which meant Diana was trapped in Jae-won's gilded cage, dependent on him for everything. The first few days were awkward. Jae-won came by every evening after work, still wearing his expensive suits, still carrying the air of danger that clung to him like cologne. He'd sit with her, ask about her day, about the baby. Sometimes they'd talk about neutral topics, books, movies, the news. Other times, they'd sit in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them. But slowly, something shifted. Jae-won started arriving earlier, staying later. He'd bring her favorite foods from restaurants she'd mentioned loving years ago. He'd read to her, news articles, novels, anything to help pass the time. And late at night, when she couldn't sleep, when the fear became too much, he'd hold her hand and tell her stories about the future he envisioned for their daughter. She'll go to the best schools, he said one night, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Learn multiple languages, travel the world. She'll be smart, strong, fearless. Like her father, Diana said softly. Like her mother. He looked at her in the dim light. You're the bravest person I know, Diana. You left everything familiar to protect your principles. You've been surviving alone, fighting for our daughter. That takes real courage. I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. He hesitated, then added, I'm trying, to be better. I've started transitioning my operations, moving into legitimate investments. Chairman Kong approved it, says it's good for business to have a cleaner front. That's really what you want? What I want is you and our daughter. If this is what it takes, then yes, this is what I want. His eyes met, hers, with burning intensity. I told you 3 years ago that you were mine. That never changed. I'm just finally in a position to prove it. The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in her belly. Even pregnant, exhausted, and emotionally wrung out, Jae-won's presence affected her. The way he looked at her, like she was something precious and dangerous all at once, made her remember those nights in his bed when the world outside ceased to exist. Don't look at me like that, she whispered. Like what? Like you want to devour me. His smile was slow, predatory. I do want to devour you. I've wanted to since I saw you behind that bar, pregnant with my child, still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Do you know how hard it's been, being this close to you every day and not touching you the way I want to? Jae-won, I dream about you, he continued, his voice dropping to that rough timbre that used to make her melt. Every night, I remember exactly how you taste, how you sound when you come, how you'd whisper my name like a prayer. Stop. But her voice was breathless, her body already responding to his words. Why? Because it's inconvenient? Because you're trying to convince yourself you don't want this too? He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. Your body remembers me, Diana. I can see it in the way you react when I'm near, the way your breath catches, your pupils dilate. You still want me. That doesn't mean, it means everything. His lips brushed her neck, the barest touch, and she shivered. It means we're not finished. We were never finished. Before she could respond, before she could think, his phone rang. The spell broke. Jae-won pulled back, his expression hardening as he checked the screen. I have to take this. He stepped out of the room, and Diana heard his voice turn cold, commanding, back to the Jae-won the world knew, back to the man she'd run from. But when he returned, his face was troubled. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing you need to worry about. Don't do that. Don't shut me out. He studied her for a long moment. There's been interest in you. Chairman Kang knows about us now, about the baby. Fear spiked through her. And he sees you as a potential weakness, something rivals could exploit. He sat down heavily. I've been trying to keep you separate from that world, but it's becoming impossible. People are asking questions, wondering why I'm distracted, why I'm changing my operations. So what does that mean? It means I need to make a decision. Either cut you loose completely, which isn't happening, or make our connection official, public, which would offer you protection, but also make you a target. What kind of target? The kind where people might try to use you or the baby to get to me. The kind where you'd need security 24/7, where you'd be part of my world completely, with no illusions about what that means. Diana felt her carefully constructed walls crumbling. She'd tried so hard to keep their daughter safe from this life, and now it was closing in anyway. There's a third option, Jae-won said quietly. I could make a deal with Chairman Kang. One final job, something significant enough to buy my way into a higher position. Less exposure, more insulation. I'd still be connected, but the danger would be different, manageable. What kind of job? His expression turned guarded. Better you don't know the details. Don't do that either. If I'm going to be part of this, I need to know what I'm agreeing to. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, there's a rival organization moving product through our territory. Chairman Kang wants them eliminated. Completely. It's a message. No one encroaches on our business and lives to tell about it. You mean killing them? Yes. The blunt admission hit her like a physical blow. This was what she'd been avoiding, what she'd been terrified of. Jae-won wasn't just connected to violence. He was the violence. I can't. She shook her head. I can't condone that. I can't be with someone who protects what's his. His voice turned hard. You think I like this? You think I enjoy what I have to do? This is survival, Diana. This is the world I was born into, the world I've had to navigate my entire life. And if taking out a rival organization means keeping you and our daughter safe, then I'll do it without hesitation. There has to be another way. There isn't. Not in this world. He stood, pacing. You want me to be different? Fine. After this job, I will be. I'll transition completely into legitimate business. No more enforcement, no more street-level operations, but I have to do this first. It's the price of freedom. Diana felt trapped, suffocating. Every choice led to darkness. Every path required accepting things she'd sworn she never would. "And if I say no," she whispered, "if I take our daughter and disappear again?" The look he gave her was pure predator. "Then I'll find you. Again and again. I'll always find you, Diana, because you're mine. She's mine. And I don't let go of what's mine. Ever." The possessiveness, the absolute certainty, should have terrified her. Instead, it ignited something dark and hungry inside her. Some broken part of her that wanted to be claimed, to be protected, to surrender to this man who loved her with a ferocity that bordered on madness. "I hate that I still want you," she admitted. "I hate that even knowing what you are, what you do, I still—" He was on her in an instant, his mouth claiming hers, with bruising intensity. The kiss was everything she remembered and more, demanding, consuming, making her forget every reason they shouldn't do this. His hand tangled in her hair, angling her head, deepening the kiss until she was drowning in him. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. "Say you're mine," he growled against her lips. "Say it." "I'm yours," she whispered, surrendering to the inevitable. "I've always been yours. Even when I ran, even when I tried to forget, I was always yours." His smile was triumphant, possessive. "And I'm yours. Every dark, violent, broken part of me belongs to you. Only you." If you're loving this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment and let me know, are you Team Jae-won, or do you think Diana should run? Now let's see how this all plays out. The next morning, Jae-won was gone early. A note on the bedside table said simply, "Taking care of business. Back soon. Trust me." But Diana couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty. Even the nurse seemed tense, checking her phone constantly. It was afternoon when Yoonji arrived, her usual composure shattered. "Miss Park, we need to move you. Now." "What? Why?" "There's been a complication. The rival organization, they found out about you. They're coming." Terror flooded through her. "Where's Jae-won?" "Handling it. But he wants you somewhere safe until—" The apartment's front door exploded inward. 3 men in black masks stormed in, guns drawn. Yoonji shoved Diana toward the bedroom, screaming at her to run, to hide. But Diana was 7 months pregnant, exhausted, and terrified. She made it to the bedroom before rough hands grabbed her, yanking her back. "Got her," one of the men said into a phone. "Tell Kang Jae-won his woman and his bastard are ours. Now. He has 2 hours to bring us the shipment routes, or we start sending him pieces of them." Diana tried to scream, but a hand clamped over her mouth. She was dragged toward the door, toward a future that promised nothing but pain. Her last thought before they forced a cloth over her face, chloroform, some distant part of her brain recognized, was of Jae-won, of their daughter, of everything they'd never have. Then darkness claimed her. She woke to cold concrete beneath her and the smell of mildew. Her hands were zip-tied behind her back, her body aching. But most terrifying, her belly felt wrong, tight, painful. "She's awake," someone said. A man crouched in front of her, his face hard and scarred. "Nothing personal, sweetheart. But your boyfriend made some enemies. This is just business." "Please," she whispered. "The baby?" "Yeah, we know. 7 months, right? Plenty of time for Kang to do what we want. Unless he decides you're not worth it, then... He shrugged. Well, let's hope he's as obsessed as everyone says. Another contraction hit her, stronger this time. Diana bit back a scream. No, not now, not here. Their daughter couldn't be born in this place, surrounded by violence and hatred. Boss, she's having contractions, one of the men said nervously. So, not our problem. She holds out until Kang shows, or she doesn't. But the contractions were getting closer together, more intense. Diana realized with dawning horror that this wasn't false labor. This was real. Their daughter was coming now, in the worst possible place, under the worst possible circumstances. Just when she thought she couldn't endure anymore, she heard it. Gunfire, shouting, the sounds of a war zone erupting above them. The door to her prison exploded inward, and there he was, Jae-won, covered in blood that might or might not be his own, eyes wild with fury and fear. He took in the scene. Diana tied up, clearly, in labor, surrounded by armed men, and something in him snapped. What happened next was brutal, efficient, and terrifying. Jae-won moved like death itself, taking out the men with a precision that spoke of years of training and a rage that made him unstoppable. In less than 2 minutes, every man in the room was either dead or incapacitated. Then he was cutting her zip ties, gathering her into his arms. I've got you, he said, his voice shaking. I've got you, baby. You're safe now. Jae-won, the baby, she's coming. His face went white. Now? She nodded, another contraction ripping through her. He lifted her as carefully as he could, carrying her toward the exit. His men had secured the building, and an ambulance was already waiting outside. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and fear. Jae-won never left her side, holding her hand, whispering reassurances even as his own hands shook. It's too early, she sobbed. She's not. Ready? She's strong, like her mother. She'll be fine. We'll all be fine. In the delivery room, with doctors and nurses swarming, Diana looked at Jae-won and saw something she'd never seen before. Complete, abject fear. This man who faced violence without flinching was terrified of losing them. Don't leave me, she gasped. Never. He pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, Diana. I've loved you from the moment I met you, and I love our daughter. You two are my entire world. I love you too, she admitted, finally saying the words she'd been holding back. God help me. I love you. Their daughter arrived 30 minutes later, small but healthy, her cries filling the room like a promise. 5 pounds, 2 ounces, perfect, whole, theirs. Jae-won held her for the first time, this tiny human they'd created, and Diana watched tears stream down his face. Ji-woo, he whispered. My Ji-woo, I promise you, I swear to you, I will never let anything hurt you. You or your mother. Whatever I have to do, whoever I have to become, you'll always be safe. The baby wrapped her tiny hand around his finger, and something in his expression transformed. This was a man who'd just found his purpose, his reason for everything. Later, when Diana and the baby were sleeping, Jae-won stepped into the hallway where Chairman Kong was waiting. Congratulations, Kong said, on the baby and on eliminating the rival organization. You did well tonight. I'm done, Jae-won said flatly. That was the last time. I want out of street operations completely. And into what? Real estate development, high-end investments, legitimate business with our unofficial backing. I'll still be useful to the organization, but differently, cleaner. Kong studied him for a long moment. You know what you're asking for? Territory in Gangnam doesn't come cheap. I just took out your biggest rival in one night. I'd say I've earned it. A slow smile crossed Kang's face. You have. Very well. Consider it done. But Jae-won, don't mistake legitimate for safe. There are always threats, always enemies, even in clean business. I'll handle them. I know you will. That's why you're valuable. Kang clapped him on the shoulder. Go back to your family. Enjoy this moment. Tomorrow, we discuss your new position. 3 months later, Diana stood in their penthouse, watching Jae-won hold Ji-woo while reviewing contracts for his new real estate development company. Their daughter had grown, thriving despite her early arrival. She had her father's dark eyes and her mother's smile. What are you thinking? Jae-won asked, looking up. That this isn't what I imagined, but somehow it's right. She joined them, creating a family portrait against the Seoul skyline. You're still connected to that world, still dangerous, but you're also here, with us, being the father I didn't know you could be. I told you I'd change, for you, for her. You didn't change. You evolved. There's a difference. He smiled, pulling her close with his free arm. Is that your way of saying you accept me? All of me? It's my way of saying I love you. All of you. Even the parts that scare me. I love you too, both of you, more than anything in this world or any other. Ji-woo made a soft sound, and they both looked down at her. Perfect. Innocent. Theirs to protect. No more secrets, Diana said. No more running. We face everything together from now on. Together, Jae-won agreed, always. Outside, Seoul glittered with possibility and danger in equal measure. Jae-won's past would never fully release him, and threats would always lurk in shadows. But standing there with his family, with everything he'd fought for and everything he'd become, he knew one absolute truth. He would burn the world down before letting anything harm them. And Diana, watching him cradle their daughter with a tenderness that contradicted everything he was, knew another truth. Love wasn't about choosing the safe option. It was about choosing the person you couldn't live without, even when they came with darkness attached. They were broken, complicated, dangerous, but they were also real. And for now, in this moment, they were happy. Before you go, make sure you've subscribed to this channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you catch our next story. Drop a comment telling me what you thought of Jae-won and Diana's story, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we have coming next. See you in the next one.